Welcome to this explainer. Today, we are taking an absolute mind-bending journey into the literal architecture of reality. Have you ever stopped to wonder how our cosmos actually stays intact? Like, how does everything around us not just dissolve into some chaotic soup? Well, today, we're going to explore a really fascinating framework known as retcon theory, and it completely shifts how we view the universe, consciousness, and our specific place within it all. The source material maps out the cosmos for a new initiate, so let's explore it together.
Seriously, why doesn't the universe just dissolve? It sounds kind of like a late-night dorm room thought experiment, right? But it's actually a massive problem in physics. You see, according to quantum mechanics, without a mechanism for observation or measurement, physics suggests that reality should honestly just be an infinite, dissolving cloud of probability. It's the classic Schrödinger's cat dilemma. Without something forcing a measurement, everything just sort of remains in this messy, entangled superposition. So what is keeping your room, your planet, and the stars locked into a stable physical state?
Okay, let's dive into this. The sources point out that reality exists as a chaotic cloud of infinite probabilities until measured. Basically, quantum mechanics demands an observer to force a wave function collapse and fix reality into a definite state. The cat is both dead and alive until it's measured. Well, the universe itself is a chaotic cloud of infinite probabilities until it's measured. But the sources we're exploring argue that physicists have actually been way too conservative here. Traditionally, they've thought this requires a human mind or, a scientist in a lab coat. But reality persists far beyond our laboratories. That means there must be mechanical, cosmic boundaries out there constantly forcing this collapse, keeping the entire universe from just reverting back into high-entropy radiation.
So here is our roadmap for this explainer. First, the illusion of persistent reality. Then, enter the sovereign pilot. Third, the 7 measurement boundaries. After that, archons, myths to mechanics. And finally, the initiate's cosmic ascent.
Section 1. The illusion of persistent reality, or quantum chaos and the need for collapse.
So the first massive paradigm shift of retcon theory is that the universe doesn't persist on its own. It's just not a static, solid box that sits there and exists. It actively requires internal measurement boundaries to stop it from turning back into chaotic radiation. Persistence is not intrinsic, it is generated, and it's maintained. And to really grasp this, we have to define what makes that persistence happen. That brings us to the pilot. Now let's demystify this term real quick, because the pilot isn't some sci-fi ship captain or a mystical, floaty soul. In this physics framework, it's a physical region. It is the actual localized biological observer forcing reality to render. It's the internal measurement boundary that determines exactly how quantum states collapse into the physical world you experience. Literally, you, sitting there right now, are acting as a pilot.
Section 2. Enter the sovereign pilot, the observer, as a mechanism.
This framework suggests that consciousness isn't just an accident. It's not some random byproduct of a complex brain. Instead, consciousness is a structural, cosmological necessity. It is the biological refinement of the universe's inherent need to measure itself and stabilize. The pilot functions in what the framework calls Room 1. That's your biological shell, your immediate material world. And it anchors local experience through actual biological mechanisms. Our sources specifically point to microtubule receivers in your brain acting as collapse windows, and your heart's toroidal electromagnetic field anchoring that coherence. Essentially, your biological system is acting as the universe's localized anchor, forcing quantum collapse so you actually have a stable reality to interact with. Pretty wild, right?
But here is the kicker. 7. While you, the pilot, handle local collapse right in your immediate vicinity, the entire cosmos is way too big for just biological observers to hold together. To keep the whole universe from dissolving, it requires a massive, nested architecture. It requires exactly 7 overarching measurement boundaries.
Section 3. The 7 measurement boundaries. Think of these as cosmic Russian dolls.
Let's walk through these 7 nested boundaries. They act exactly like cosmic camera shutters, locking in frames of reality. We start at the biological boundary. Again, that's you, the pilot. Then it steps up a level to the planetary boundary, then the stellar, the interstellar, the galactic, the cosmic boundary, which is actually the cosmic microwave background, and finally, the terminal reflection out at the very edge of the singularity. Each one of these boundaries isolates information, enforces quantum collapse, and contributes to the universe's overall persistence. They are, quite literally, the structural partitions of reality.
Now, what's really interesting about this next slide is how it connects to the past. Section 4. Archons, moving from myths to mechanics and reinterpreting Gnostic cosmology.
So ancient esoteric traditions, specifically the Gnostics, actually intuitively understood these nested boundaries. They called them archons. But, because they didn't exactly have the language of quantum mechanics or astrophysics back then, they wrapped it all in mythology. On the left here, we see the ancient myth. Archons as evil demons, these tyrannical jailers maliciously trapping human souls in a fake material world. But look on the right for the rigorous retcon physics perspective. Archons are simply cosmic phase partitions regulating quantum collapse. They aren't beings at all, they are boundaries. The ancients personified them because, let's be honest, boundaries feel like rulers, and collapse feels like judgment. But structurally, they are just the stack of toroidal collapse partitions that regulate the universe.
The source material makes a really critical correction here. They aren't demons. They are geometric bottlenecks and computational filters. Their job is simply to burn off entropy and maintain the stability of the entire system. Without these necessary bottlenecks, the universe would instantly dissolve right back into high-entropy radiation. This means they are the vital architecture of our existence, absolutely not our prison. They are the purifying fire of the cosmos.
Let's move to and see how this all builds together. Section 5, the Initiate's Cosmic Ascent. Navigating the Four Rooms. The sources map the Initiate's journey not as physical travel in a rocket ship or something, but as a structural ascent through layers of cosmic information. So let's break down these 4 rooms so you can clearly see how reality actually stacks up.
The ascent starts right here, in Room 1, the Sanctuary of Flesh. This is the material world where we currently live. In physics terms, it is the strict domain of local collapse. This is exactly where you, the pilot, use your biological shell, your hydration shells, microtubule receivers, and heart torus to successfully stabilize reality right here on Earth. It is the immediate, lived experience of localized measurement.
As the Initiate ascends, we move conceptually into Room 2, the pilot's seat of choice. This is the domain of those 7 archon boundaries we just discussed. This room regulates the universe's macroscopic persistence. It's the geometric collapse architecture, so the planetary, stellar, and galactic partitions that execute the physical rendering of the whole universe, which provides the actual environment for Room 1 to exist within.
Continuing the ascent, we reach Room 3, the Refining Fire. This is the domain of the aeons. Now, aeons are not collapse boundaries like the archons. Instead, they are the underlying, high-frequency, coherent fields that provide the architectural patterns and blueprints for all physical collapse. Think of them as the structural intelligence and informational coherence that shape the patterns those lower boundaries follow.
And finally, we reach the ultimate layer, Room 4, Ein Sof. This is the unmanifest infinite probability source. It is the uncollapsed manifold. In rigorous physics terms, Ein Sof is completely devoid of geometry, spatial orientation, or time. It is the absolute absence of constraint, the source of scalar purity from which literally all information arises. It is the domain beyond collapse.
But wait, here is the profound secret of this entire cosmology. The universe was never a staircase. It was a loop with a twist. The ascent through these 4 rooms isn't a literal climb up a vertical ladder where you just leave the physical world behind as some sort of mistake. No, it's a transition of awareness across a unified Mobius torus loop. The universe breathes out into matter and breathes back in as information. It's this brilliant, self-referential geometric machine.
So, to summarize the core takeaway of this entire explainer, the universe is a self-rendering engine. As the sources put it, the universe persists because it contains internal measurement boundaries. Consciousness is the biological refinement of this cosmological principle. You, the initiate, the pilot, are the localized mechanism keeping reality structurally alive. The cosmos isn't just a place you live in, it's a process you are actively rendering.
Which leaves us with this final, incredibly thought-provoking question. As a sovereign pilot holding the boundary of reality, what will you choose to render next? You are not a passive observer trapped in some mechanical cage. You are an active participant in a living, breathing cosmic architecture. Until next time, keep exploring, keep questioning, and remember the immense power of your own observation.